Hey guys, welcome back to Telltale. I'm Emily,
I'm Greg.
and we are going to be talking about Expendables by Philip K. Dick. So, which
Yep.
number in the Philip K. Dick series is this one?
This is.
Numeral
Oh, now I don't remember.
20 something? I feel like it's like 20.
19. This is our
Oh!
19th Dick.
I was close! The 19th Dick.
Mm-hmm.
Dick number 19, guys. So, yeah, where did this one come from?
This was originally published in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, which is still published today. Still a great magazine. I just recently renewed my subscription to it. But it was published in the July 1953 issue of Fantasy and Science Fiction.
Is that...
That's all I know.
That's all you know? That's all the info we got? Alright, good enough for me. So, synopsis. This gentleman suddenly begins to hear insects. And I don't mean just the annoying screams of the cicada, as one knows, you know, the song of their people. No, in plain English, he is hearing their plots. And the ants are evil. They're trying to take over the world, and they know that he's on to them. So they've started planning attacks, so he has to live in fear. But now, he doesn't know if all the bugs are evil or not. So he still doesn't know. He's not sure about the spiders. He's not sure about the dragonflies. He's very sure that the flies are in on it. And the ants for sure are evil. But he happens to hear that the ants are plotting against him. So he's been living in fear. He's trying to conduct his daily life, but living in an extreme sense of paranoia as he's conducting his daily life. And one day he comes home, and the ants have attacked. They're under his rug, and they just attack him, and he's able to fend this army off. But he is unsure of what the next round is going to look like, so he locks himself up in his bedroom, and as he does, a tiny spider comes down onto his desk and starts speaking to him and saying, hey, we know what the plot is. You know, we think we can stop it. We've got the birds on our side. They're going to try and help us, and I think we can deal with this. And he's like, good. So you think you can save me from them, from the next attack? And they're like, oh no, you're a goner. Absolute goner. But we can save the world still. There's still time. And that's where the story ends.
Yeah.
So this is I really enjoyed this one. I want to put it on the top tail list because, like, I think everybody has that one piece of them that thinks something like an animal or, like, ants or, like, creatures of certain kinds are organized enough that they are plotting our demise. I think a lot of people feel that way probably about spiders in general, that the spiders are the ones plotting, or any kind of vermin. So I just think this is really fun play on an already very human concern that we kind of have in our culture, that the bugs are out to get us, or, like, something's out to get us, and why not be the bugs, you know? But I think it's interesting that in this one, the spiders are actually the heroes. And not
As
the
they
ones...
should be.
Yes! They eat all the bugs I hate!
Yes.
I don't kill spiders at my house, because we have...
She has cats, that's why.
Yeah, my cats actually usually kill them. I try not to. I try to save them and put them outside. But we also get a lot of mosquitoes in our area during the summer, so I don't kill the spiders, because they eat the mosquitoes. And then we get those weird, those lake flies that are like... They look kind of like mosquitoes. They're built similarly, but they don't have the tube. The little piercing tube, and they have, like, the little... They look like little feathers for antenna. Very tiny feathers. Mm-hmm. So we get those a lot, too, and they just buzz around and are annoying, even though they don't bite, so... Okay. I hate them, though, and the spiders eat them, so...
Mm-hmm.
I also like bats for that reason. I like the bats around my house.
They eat the insects.
Yep. I'm actually going to build a bat box this summer to help deal with the insects in my backyard. I just hope they don't eat the bees. But usually the bees are asleep by the time they come out.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I feel like this is a really fun, playful, interesting take on a very human paranoia that I think every human has experienced. Anyone with an imagination, anyway, has experienced.
Yeah. My take on it, a number of you have said that Philip Dick was already on drugs in 1953, and I haven't been sure because I haven't read any biographies or anything. And his stories seem fairly straightforward science fiction stories, but with this one, you have me convinced. This guy is on
He heard the
drugs.
bugs in real
He's
life.
hearing insects talk to
He
him.
was seeing sounds and hearing the bugs speak.
Yeah, and that's how kind of how this story comes across is if he's pulling from his real life, he's tripping or he's schizophrenic or something and hearing insects talk.
I think it's just playful. Even if he was
Yeah,
on
it
drugs,
could
I
be.
think there's already, like I said, there. Humans with imaginations tend to have a weird paranoia to something, like something is organizing against them, whether it be God, ghosts, bugs, vermin, their own pet cat plotting their demise, which is like the biggest trope on the internet ever. Like, I think that's a very human thing to have. So even if he was on drugs, he's just perpetuating an already very human state of mind. Even if we can rationalize our way out of it, just in this case, it was made very plain that he couldn't rationalize his way out of it.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it for that, and that's usually how I interpreted it. But if he was on drugs, we got a fun story out of it.
Yeah, he did.
Can't complain.
And of course, we're still stuck at, well, we're out of June. We're in July. We're kind of stuck in July.
We're
for a
proceeded a whole month.
And,
This guy's a writing machine. Like, I
Yeah.
am just continually impressed by how much work he can crank out in a month.
Well, his was the first bibliography where I saw this sort of thing, but I've been entering different writers' bibliographies, mostly lately on science fiction writers that came up during the 1950s, and I'm seeing this as a common thing that, yeah, they were really cranking out fiction. And I think it was more necessity than just having that many ideas.
Excuse
They
me,
were
I'm
doing
burping.
it. They were cranking out the stories to pay the bills.
Yeah. Y'all
And
gotta pay the
they had
mortgage.
to be this, as long as they were writing short stories, they had to be this prolific in order to make enough money and make it through each month.
And this was probably a good way, too, to just kind of get an idea for a future book out of your brain without having to just make it senseless notes.
Oh yeah.
It's a more fleshed out thing. And we see that, I think, a lot, too, in the early work and what we're familiar with in his novelizations. It's kind of what Philip K. Dick has been doing this whole time. Taking these concepts, kind of using them as, like, taking notes, but more fleshed out.
Yeah.
And eventually making them into novels, so...
Yeah,
But
a
we'll
lot of
get
the a lot of the other writers would literally take the stories that they wrote in the early 50s in the magazines, and they would expand them, add chapters to them, add some background stuff in the story, and make a whole novel out of it and resell it during the 60s and 70s when there was a strong market for novels and they could get paid a lot more.
Yep. So there's a little method to this madness of short
Yeah.
stories, and that's also why we want to make the plug for good short stories.
Oh yeah, they are very enjoyable and they don't take a whole lot of time.
Yeah, that and they become the precursors of some of the greatest pieces of literature in the future. Can't beat
And-
that with stick. I mean, you could, but it'd be useless.
I read this story in my becoming well-worn copy. Actually, it's still in nice shape. I
Yeah,
take
it's still
care of
in
my
pretty good
books.
shape. I was gonna say, well worn.
But I've been using it a lot because a lot of what we've been talking about of Philip K. Dick so far has come out of this specific volume, which was only one of a series published by Citadel Press, I think in the 1990s, collecting together his short stories into these trade paperbacks, and they're not like Sun Top books. They're not super collectible. They're pretty common. A lot of my copies I actually bought at Half Price Books. After they were new.
Yep.
So you can find these, and if you find the whole series, you'll have, I think, almost all of Philip K. Dick's short fiction in like 5 or 6 volumes,
That's not too bad at all.
and at
Reasonable
$8 a
prices,
piece at
yeah.
Half Price Books, it's not going to bust your budget, and you'll have a really nice Philip K. Dick collection. But most of his early work is in Paycheck. You just need that one, and you'll be able to read most of what we've been talking about. So, great book.
Yeah.
Great story. You think it's top tail?
I would say so. This was
Okay.
a very original, fun idea, in my opinion.
Okay, I'll be swayed.
I think it's the kind of thing that was the precursor to movies like It's a Bug's Life and stuff like that, where we start giving animals more human characteristics and starting to empathize, I think, with animal culture. So
Okay.
I would say yes. It has an influence that we see even in today's culture.
Okay, so we're going to list Expendable as a top tail.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Goodness, it's amazing, because there was another one that he wrote, the one with the little toy soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one also kind of became a precursor to, like, Toy Story.
And Stephen King wrote a famous short story about toy soldiers attacking a
like
guy.
it became a thing in the future. So it's kind of fun to see like what that kind of storyline became later.
Mm-hmm.
But he started it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm liking this.
Okay. So, let me check to see what's our next Philip K. Dick story. Number 20 will be The Cosmic Poachers. And it's still going to be July 1953.
It's all right. We just started the month of July, it seems. Oh, well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to go for, so.
That'll be our next foray into more Dick.
More Dick.
And we hope you'll come back and join us for that and many other videos, and like us and subscribe to us. Leave comments if you wish. We love to hear from you and your thoughts on these stories. And check us out on other social media, and check out our new Patreon account.
Yes, we have a Patreon.
We are dirt poor, and we want to publish books. And if you subscribe to our Patreon, the money coming in for that will go towards publishing our first book, which we've yet to fight out exactly which book that's going to be.
We have two options,
but we have
and
some
we are
ideas.
narrowing it down. Ooh, that would be kind of fun. You might see a poll of which title you want to vote on to be published first on our Patreon, but we'll discuss that off video.
An internet mud fight over which book gets published first.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. But things you can expect on our Patreon are exclusive content, such as exclusive videos, our poetry readings. A lot of our topical videos are going to be switched over to there. We will keep doing our Philip K. Dick series over here on YouTube because we refuse to bait and switch, you guys. If you joined us for this, we are so glad you're here. And we will continue to do our Philip K. Dick and make it available here on our YouTube channel. But if you want early access to all of our YouTube videos, you can find those on Patreon as well before they drop here on this platform. So you're welcome to join us over there. It is a $10 fee for all that we've mentioned, and probably more as we come up with it along the way. So
yeah, but we're going to keep exposing our dick in public.
Yep, we're sticking to the
I
dick.
couldn't resist that.
Sticking to the dick on public platforms such as YouTube. But if you want more content, even if it's about the Philip K. Dick subject, we might have some topical things that we address on our Patreon coming up. But for the most part, we're really excited for what we have planned on our Patreon, and we hope you guys are too. And we're also very excited for the things we have coming up on our YouTube channel that we're going to keep doing as our labor of love aspect of things. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.